Hello everybody again. This is part 2 of the Baby Desert Eagle / Jericho 941 complete disassembly and reassembly. In my last video I did the complete lower. Make sure that you check that out. Now I'm going to do the complete upper and final reassembly for everything. We've already field stripped it and now we're going to start on the upper. Obviously we have the recoil spring and the guide rod, and we have our barrel. Our barrel is very 1911-ish. It does have the two slots in there for the upper block there. It has a lot of similarities to the 1911. One of the biggest ones is actually the firing pin right here. The firing pin has a keeper on the back. You're going to have the firing pin. You're going to push it in, and you'll see that got loose. One of the things I would say to do is to actually, once you have it loose, put it down towards your surface and push your keeper down, and that way when you take it out, it's not flying everywhere. It'll just go to your surface. Here you have your firing pin and spring. Here you have your firing pin keeper, and this fell out before I got a chance to show you. To be honest, I'm not even sure what to call this. I would say a sear activator, because it does touch the lower receiver right here. Other than that, there is a way to get your safety selector switch out. I do not have the tools to do that, because in order to do that you would actually have to take off the rear sight. There is also a pin on the right side of the pistol where you have the safety selector on this side. You take that pin out and you slide this side out. Excuse me. And from there you would take the rear sight, you would slide that off, which I don't have. And then there's another post. This is one great big post from the left side to the right that pulls out, and there's a couple other pieces in there. I don't have that stuff, and therefore I can't do that. However, I can take the extractor out, and the extractor is a push pin. Now, or that roll pin. Now, the roll pin right here on top, and it goes all the way through the bottom here. I'm going to grab my block like I did last time. I'm going to center my screwdriver / punch and give it a couple of whacks. Here is my roll pin, and for this not to go anywhere, I will put my thumb on the extractor and kind of put some tension on it, because once you bring that out, that spring is pretty tough. And here's your extractor. That is the farthest that I am able to take this slide on this pistol. Go ahead and clean it if you'd like. If anything, I'm just, showing this to you. But since I have this apart, now let's reassemble it. I'm actually going to start with the extractor. Doing this, there's no actual particular way to really do this except when you have the sear activator, and I'll show you that here here in just a little bit. Now, what I have found is on this one, this spring itself is a little bit tough to do, and what I found is that it's, come on, there it is. It is a little bit easier to go from the bottom to the top, and I have that as a guide rod for it. I'm not going to go all the way through because I still want it to be through the extractor, but kind of stick that in there and kind of give it a couple of hits to get started. All right, and there I have my roll pin for my extractor. Now you do have just a little bit, of room on the tops and on the top and the bottom of the slide for that roll pin to go. So as long as that roll pin is in the slide itself, you're not going to be binding up on anything in the pistol. That is actually, I think, the only thing that I need to use the block for. The rest of this is actually pretty self-explanatory. Once you clean everything, put your spring back in your sear activator. Now, there is actually a specific way to do this as well. You'll see as I put it in there, you have a raised side and a lowered side. The lowered side is actually going to go towards the front, and you'll see that this is actually sideways and not straight back and forth. And that comes into play in how it's designed, because what happens is that this firing pin actually has to be able to go right past it. That's part of the design. So make sure that you have that. Make sure that you have that sideways. And as you put the firing pin in, as long as it's close, it'll do it on its own. But there should be tension from that spring on there. You're going to have the firing pin in the spring. And as you have it like this, there is a groove on the firing pin. As you have the slide upside down, that groove goes down, because that's actually part of the safety mechanism. There's a rod, or there's a detent in that safety mechanism that groove is a big part of. So make sure that you have that groove down. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to kind of give that little sear activator a bit of a push, slide everything in, and here's where it gets a little bit fun. My cat is very curious in what I'm doing. My apologies for that. All right, and just like 1911, yeah, might be easier to do with a flat head to kind of, yeah, and there it went. It happens. It takes a little bit of practice, but you can get it, I promise. And you'll feel that. You might want to see if you can let your keeper do some of the work. All right. Come on. There it goes. And once you slide your keeper all the way back, that firing pin you should be able to see it through the keeper right there. Other than that, you should be able to move your safety selector switch from safe to fire from right here. You'll also see a small rod come out once you put the safety down. Okay. From there, it's basic reassembly of a pistol. You have your barrel, you have your guide rod and recoil spring. Set that down on your ledge. And one of the greatest things of why this is so accurate is because the entire upper part of the frame is the slide of the pistol. So once you put that together, you're going to line up your two dots from the side and the frame. Take your slide stop / release, slide that through the guide, or through the side, and there you go. That is the complete assembly and disassembly and reassembly of the Jericho 941, both the upper and the lower portions. She is ready to go and ready to fire again. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it useful, and keep shooting with lots of ammo.